You know why I'm burping so much?
You're drinking LaCroix.
I drank it twice today. I'm bubbly. Bubbly. Boobly. Like Michael Bublé. Boobly, 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 boobly.
You're crazy.
I'm just doing
You're
some
crazy.
audio testing. Okay, then we're gonna watch. We're gonna at least watch that video together from the Surfs.
Okay, yeah.
What was it called? What's her name again?
I don't remember. Marlene. Something. Marianne.
Let's do a couple.
Okay. Okay, I need to make a screen for Overseer plus me. I need to put that up over here. Turns out a lot of setup. I knew that would be the case, but yeah, there's a lot of setup. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and begin this stream. I can't see where my eyeballs go, but I think I got it. Okay.
Alright, I will. It just happens to my laptop. I don't know.
All right. So are you watching this live video right now?
I am going on YouTube right now. My laptop's all of a sudden being really slow. Very testing.
Average test time so far is 5 seconds. Average watch time so far is 5 seconds. Wow.
This is a test. BRB.
But you can't hear anything. That's the point, right? What about now? Can you hear anything now? Yes, you can.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You shouldn't have been able to hear me when I said average watch time was 5 seconds. Uh-oh. Hold on. Alright, so if anybody's watching right now, hello and welcome. I am trying out OBS and trying to figure out some stuff with that. So let's do something fun. And that is, if you're in the chat, tell me what is happening right now. I'm about to change the screen. So Ann, I'm going to turn you down on the phone. So you have to type to me if you're going to talk, because I can't. Okay, there we go. Okay, and signal the thumbs up. So I know for a fact one person is listening. So Ann, I'm gonna switch the screen here. What I'm hoping is that it's going to mute me when I do that. So here we go. If it says this is a test and you can hear me saying this is a test, then that's a problem. So go ahead and type into the chat if you can hear me right now while it shows this is a test on the screen. And you have to type. I cannot hear you. Yes, Ann. Hi. Oh. Oh. On your phone. Okay. Okay. There we go. That should work. Yeah, it's very confusing, isn't it? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and hang up. Okay, so I hung up because Snapchat wouldn't let me turn you down all the way, so... this Proletariat's been working his way through my channel on my through my YouTube content, and about every day commenting on a video or so, which has been awesome. You know, I love when people do that. You can tell they're really digging in, and that's the kind of feedback that means the most. So anyway, oh, and he just said that the game video is when I peaked hard, which is totally true. So, could you hear me just now when I was talking, when it said testing, when I was talking about the Proletariat? Could you see that? And says, yeah, like right now is when you just said, if you can hear me, tell me. I'm going to refresh and see if that fixes the lag. No, the lag's going to be a huge... It's going to be that way. That's okay. It's okay to have lag. I think that the lag is just there because OBS streams whatever comes through here out to YouTube, and it's just like that creates the lag. The real question is my lip syncing off? I think I did something that will make it so that that isn't an issue. Okay, so Ann says, I can hear you now. Cool. Okay, so here's a good test. I'm going to snap my fingers, and then I want to see how long it takes you to get the snap. So hold on a second. Get my phone ready for that. I'm literally going to time it. Use a stopwatch. All right. So I'm going to snap, and here we go. I wish I had waiting time music. I think I do. Hold on. Jeopardy. I have that. Oh my gosh, that's a 30. It's like a 36-second lag. No big deal. No big deal. Let's see. Let's go into songs. Songs. Where are songs? They're supposed to be available through quick access. Oh, there we go. Here we go. This is what I need. So I wonder what the music's going to be like. If I... So that was just playing. So one of the things that I'm curious about on the user experience end of this, dear audience of 3 people, one of which is probably myself, the other one is Anne. Who is the other one? I want to know. But so what was I going to say? Oh, the real test. I'm curious on your end. Is it going to sound? Does it sound like the music is playing off of my speakers in a room, which is true, being picked up on by this microphone? Or does it sound like it's like coming from like just like straight from the internal part of the computer? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like if I'm... I guess that would be a bad test. I want to know if that music was... If it sounded like you were listening to it on your own computer or through... I guess if it sounds like it's coming through YouTube, does it sound like it's coming through YouTube normally? Or does it just sound like it's playing from someone else's computer? I can always go back to this stream and like rewatch this stuff. So let's do my first screen crossover. This is gonna be really fun, everybody. Here we go. Woo! Ann and I were talking about watching this video, so we're gonna watch it together. All right, so this is something that the Surfs just put out. Very exciting. Dave Rubin gets orbed. I saw this. I actually am like so impressed by this candidate because she's for the Green Deal and a variety of other things, and everybody keeps trying to get her as like being a crystal lover type new age person, and she's like she's really good at shutting that down. She's really good at shutting Rubin down. Rubin had no idea what he was dealing with here, but okay, let's go ahead. Let's watch this.
Minutes on who you are and what got you to that stage, and then we're going to dive into all the issues and talk about love and healing crystals and everything else.
Oh, I thought...
So take it away.
Oh, yeah, great. So many high-level ideas, high-level orbs, high-level thoughts and ideas. Oh, the orbs, high-level orbs, so many high-level orbs, I don't know what to do. Oh, yeah.
So gay men in Los Angeles, in a very real way, gave me my career.
At the first debate, you're kind...
All right, so these closed captions are automatic, so they're not very good. They're automatically generated, so they're not very good. And if you are seeing impaired and you're watching this stream, go ahead and ask for them, and I'll put them back if you want. But otherwise, they're not exactly helpful. In fact, they're a little distracting. Normally, I love closed captions. There's totally a place out there for someone who wants to like do closed captioning all the time for different creators. There's like a way to like open up collaborative closed captioning. If there was a person who just loved kind of that work, they should have their own Patreon. The bread tube, would it be choreographer? Is that the word? No, it's stenographer. Is that the right word? Whatever it is. For a person who is, the courtroom, I think it's the stenographer, right? But anyway, there needs to be a person whose like full-time occupation is just doing the closed captioning for videos that especially hearing impaired comrades want to have like updated, because this automatically generated stuff's not very good. It's kind of like trying to have Siri dictate your texts. Not always great. In fact, I'd say YouTube's probably worse at it than Siri.
In a very real way, gave me my career.
At the first debate, you're kind of going to be the one that most people are talking about. What would you have said?
If that's God's will, then that's God's will.
So in a weird way, does it seem like we're sort of absurdly focused on politics all the time instead of actually what you're talking about, which is more
Dave Rubin. So, will you say the thing I love to hear people say?
a movement of the people that it's not necessarily political per se.
Well, but I think that's sort of the point. Abolition was a moral stance. Women's suffrage was a moral stance. And the same with civil rights. It wasn't the political establishment that caused it. It was the moral stance articulated by Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. And that is my point regarding what is needed today. We have been living for the last 40 years under what is, I believe, an illusion that a trickle-down economics where all that a corporation has to do is exercise fiduciary responsibility towards its stockholders, even if that's at the expense of other stakeholders like workers or the community or the environment, without any sense of moral or ethical responsibility to anything beyond that fiduciary responsibility.
A lot of that's coming out of the left and from the Democrats, this labeling of everyone as racist.
Well, I hear you, and you're leaving out a very important...
Just you. I just wanted to say just you, Dave Rubin. And also checking in the chat. Oh, Ann says y'all can hear this well. That's cool. 3 viewers right now. This is great. All right, let's keep it up.
important factor, which is that the president, at least based on his tweets and his comments, is this president says things and is involved in it right now, which by any measure are racist comments. Certainly understand what you mean about how the public square is a place where it's almost impossible to have a conversation these days. Although you just need to not be on Twitter too much. You know, there are places that just make that worse. Ways in which social policy, economic policy, criminal policy is tinged by obvious racial prejudice.
And she should have gotten at least 3 power levels points just for saying what she just said about Twitter. Just saying.
There is no doubt about
So
that.
can you give me an example of that?
Yes. You could take white people and black people use drugs at the same rate, but a black person is liable to get a far harsher sentence for the same drug offense. So there is racial disparity throughout our criminal sentencing. Another example is there are millions of American children who go to school every day in schools that don't even have the adequate school supplies with which to teach a child to read. And if a child cannot learn to read by the age of 8, then the chances of high school graduation are drastically diminished, and the chances of incarceration are drastically increased. These children live, many of them in what's called America's domestic war zones.
As someone that I despise identity politics, I think it is what has, it's the root of almost everything that is wrong right now, which is why I'm struggling so much with what I would say is my former team, let's say. There was a certain collective guilt to what you were saying that was really troubling to me. I was really struggling when I was watching it.
Okay. So
Not that your intentions were not good, you know what I mean? But that the idea of these sort of guilt-ridden white people, many of whom probably, well, certainly none of them in that room owned slaves, and probably many of them never came from descendants of slaves, nor would I think that you're guilty for your father's sins, much less your great-grandfather's sins, etc. There was a certain collective guilt to it that struck me as scary. Does that ring with you?
No, not at all, but I'll tell you why.
Great.
There's a difference between taking blame and taking responsibility. The German nation has been
Hold on a second. Okay, that was epic. Let's do that again. I love how she redirects the ship, in this course. Let's watch this, because he one of the reasons that Dave Rubin is such a terrible interviewer is he is so heavy-handed in how he tries to lead the person he's supposed to be interviewing, and she just takes it right back from him every time, and she does such a good job with it. I'm so impressed. It's actually it is actually presidential.
Father's sins, much less your great grandfather's sins, etc. There was a certain collective guilt to it that struck me as scary. Does that ring with you?
No, not at all, but I'll tell you why.
Great.
There's a difference between taking blame and taking responsibility. The German nation...
Not at all, but I'll tell you why. Can that just become a thing? That should be, okay, it's leftist starter pack 101. Whenever someone tries to lead you with a stupid fucking question, say not at all. I'll tell you why.
The nation has paid $89 billion to Jewish organizations since World War II. And by the time they started paying those reparations, it was the generation after the war. Many of the people who started paying those reparations were children during that war. Nobody was saying...
But it was to the people who survived, not to generations after.
Absolutely. It was to Jewish organizations. Absolutely. Absolutely, it wasn't just to the people who survived. And let's talk about how few survived.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
You're... She's able to say you're wrong in a way that's so it's so friendly. Absolutely, she's saying absolutely, but she's the implication is absolutely you are wrong. She just says absolutely, and then tells you why you're wrong.
Generation after the war, many of the people who started paying those reparations were children during that war. Nobody was saying.
But it was to the people who survived. Not to generations after.
Absolutely. It was to Jewish organizations. Absolutely.
Absolutely, you're
just
wrong.
To the people who survived. And let's talk about how few survived, okay?
Yeah.
So, to another.
But do you think there's
apologize. I'm sorry.
Well, do you think there's a little bit of a risk in sort of, I mean, a couple of times you're referencing the genocide of the Jews to slavery. Seems like a little bit of a slippery slope there.
I don't even know how we can say that, actually, and I say that as a Jew.
I don't even know how we can say that, actually. She's just completely miffed, but she's not being rude at all. She's just
not much on slavery.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's a little bit of a risk in sort of, I mean, a couple of times you're referencing the genocide of the Jews to slavery. Seems like a little bit of a slippery slope there, no?
I don't even know how we can say that, actually, and I say
I don't
that
even
as a
know
Jew.
how we can say that, actually.
Have you read up much on slavery?
Yeah.
We're talking abject slavery, Dave. I mean, nobody's in a
Have you read up much on slavery?
contest. Nobody has a monopoly on human suffering.
Right. Well, I'm not diminishing that, but you can also talk about the extermination of 6 million people and the amount of people that never lived because of that would be alive. Or your ancestors from Russia who were never given anything and came here.
Well, wait a minute. But the Germans have paid reparations. That's kind of my point. The fact that Germany paid reparations, Germany has done full-on mea culpa. Germany has done full-on mea culpa. Nothing short of full-on mea culpa. Plus reparations, plus a guarantee that every generation theretofore would receive full Holocaust education.
I mean, I don't think I'm guilty of the past of anyone else.
This is not about guilt. It's a difference between taking guilt and responsibility.
So how much would be the right amount then? I mean, how much are we going to hand people?
Okay, so, first of all,
At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if she just bent him over her knee and took his pants down and just spanked him. And he cried like a little baby. Because, I mean, at this point, it's just how does he ask these questions in good faith?
Hand people. I don't think it's handing. And responsibility.
So how much would be the right amount then? I mean, how much are we going to hand people?
Okay, so, first of all, I hand people. I don't think it's handing people, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Nice way to reclaim the frame.
Yeah.
Because I've been in this conversation long enough to know no matter what number I utter, some are going to say it's too much, some are going to say it's too little.
Yeah.
Okay? So.
There's no magic number here.
Hold on,
Come on,
hold
maybe
on.
you can get it today.
Let me rev up to this. What I am proposing is between 200 to 500 billion to be dispersed over a period of 20 years.
So there's a couple things here. So one, I think we also have a sort of disconnect on, and which is fine, completely, on just sort of what government is actually able to do or can do. I just don't think government can sort of do these types of things. I have to say that my brain is still in recovery mode from taking in so many high-level important ideas. Like it's not. I just don't think it's the purpose.
So, did anybody see the shirt that the Majority Report made of that line about his brain being in recovery mode because of all the good ideas? If anyone, someone, I'm going to try to find it on a different screen.
Of government, I mean, would we be, so is the answer that we'd be taxing a first-generation Latino immigrant who just moved here, who's struggling to make ends meet? We're going to tax him and take some of his, we're going to have to tax people to pay for this, right?
Listen, for what I would...
I mean, the money has to come from somewhere, right? So the guy who just moved here?
The issue is we don't have to tax new people. We need to stop cutting the taxes of the very richest among us. We need to repeal that 2017 tax cut. There was a $2 trillion tax cut that gave 83 cents of every dollar to the very richest earners and corporations under this illusion, this canard about trickle-down economics, even though there's no basis anywhere this is actually going to stimulate the economy. 350 years, because it was 100 years after the Civil War before the Civil Rights Act. 350 years of institutionalized violence against a people, that's longer than our country has been in existence. So the idea of an economic restitution by the middle of the 20th century, this was considered just civilized behavior.
Thing to do with it doesn't. We don't have to talk about this within a slave.
Can y'all see this? Okay. So this person, if you just look recovery mode Ruben on Twitter, you've got first person. To be fair, Michael, Ruben's brain is probably still in recovery mode and cannot be reached for comment. Lord Phillips. It's like folder, documents, folder, subfolder, politics, subfolder, Dave Rubin, subfolder, emoji, high-level important ideas, subfolder, caution sign. This folder is currently in recovery mode. Okay, so it's a good meme. I'll keep watching it.
Slavery context or a Holocaust context, but just sort of collectivism as a general rule, that it makes people attach emotions to themselves that have nothing to do with them as an individual.
No, I don't, and that's never been my experience. I've been doing this for many years. You feel in a generation of young Germans so much guilt flushed out. Holocaust guilt has been flushed out. That's what we're talking about. We're ending the guilt. We're talking about getting past this torturous phase that's lasted for hundreds of years.
Right, but also in a weird way, then they opened up, because they have this sort of residual guilt still, they opened up their borders and let in 1.5 million people that then have, sort of caused all sorts of other problems with integration and financially and everything else.
Hold
It
on.
has nothing to do with them as
I want to see what the serfs did here again.
an individual.
No, I don't, and that's never been my experience. I've been doing this for many years. You feel in a generation of young Germans so much guilt flushed out. Holocaust guilt has been flushed out. That's what we're talking about. We're ending the guilt. We're talking about getting past this torturous phase that's lasted for hundreds of years.
Right, but also in a weird way, then they opened up, because they have this sort of residual guilt still, they opened up their borders and let in 1.5 million people that
High-level
then have,
Ruben nonsense.
sort of caused all sorts of other problems with integration and financially and everything else.
You just made a connection between those policies and leftover guilt from the Holocaust. I'm not sure every German or every German scholar or German politician would agree with you about.
Well, I don't think everyone would, but I think many would. That there was a certain guilt that led.
Yeah, but how would you explain that so many other countries over there did it as well?
Well, that would be a whole other conversation about just sort of how the EU
Yeah.
operates and sort of
Yeah.
globalism and a whole bunch of other things.
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Globalism.
Do you want to be president, or do you want to be sort of like that there should almost be like a side thing next to president, sort of like where in the in many other countries there's a president and a prime minister, where there's sort of
No, we have a constitution.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the constitution.
yeah, and that more spiritually. Where
She
a lot
just
of the
laughs
things you're talking
at
about
him.
maybe.
I believe that for whatever reasons we want to talk about that, and I believe. Well, first of all, the other people who are running are lovely people. That has been.
Me personally would always be leery of the government, because the government is the people that put people in slavery. The government is the thing that exterminated 6 million Jews, et cetera, et cetera.
People we're talking about government doing less today aren't saying small government. They're saying let's just give the money to corporate control. So whereas you're saying you don't want overreach by government, I'm saying what it has turned into in this country, it's code. Less overreach by government has turned into huge overreach by corporate forces. What you have articulated are high-minded conservative principles. And I hope that you feel I've articulated some high-minded liberal principles. The yin and yang between those two is the American mind at its best.
I had Eckhart Tolle in here a couple weeks ago. He was giving
Did
me
he
a
say
version
that?
of that.
Yeah.
So you're worried that everything has become too political, right? I mean, I talk about that a lot.
No, I'm worried about what politics has become. It's not that I'm worried that things have become too political. Life is political. All the political
you.
means is our
I'm so
collective
glad she says
behavior.
this.
When you have 1% of Americans owning more wealth than the bottom 90%, what you've got is what I said before, 40% of Americans who can't even have a shot. We talk about how the economy is good. Who's the economy good for? And we look at the low unemployment rates, but you realize how many people have to work 2-3 jobs a day just in order to pay the rent, just in order to pay the rent for a modest 2-bedroom apartment. There's a huge sea of unnecessary human suffering.
I know you wouldn't want to give it to him, but does Trump deserve some credit for not doing that strike? If you got to call a minute before, and
I will tell you
120
what I
people
think
are
he
going
does
to get
deserve
killed.
credit for.
Yeah.
In terms of Iran, no, it was the president who recklessly removed us from the Iran nuclear deal. That is what led up to that. Environmental Protection Agency now is headed by a former chemical company executive, and before that by a former oil company executive. We have to talk about our food policies and the de-juicing of the FDA. Regulations, safety and health regulations, so there isn't the spewing of carcinogens in our air, spewing of carcinogens and toxins in our water.
Yeah, well, I didn't say I'm a no government guy,
Thank
but
you.
I would
It
try to
doesn't
roll back
purpose
as
of
many
government.
regulations as possible as a general rule.
Safety regulations, Dave?
Well, no. Okay, a couple more quick. We'll try to do them quick. It seems like everyone's kind of veering to some version of open borders. That's somehow
No, Dave.
kind
No,
of.
you
So
say
tell
you're a
me.
Democrat. Where do you get this?
Well, I don't
stuff?
consider.
You say I'm a Democrat.
No, I don't consider myself a Democrat
No,
anymore.
I have
I don't
not
consider
heard-
myself a Republican, but I'm
I have
definitely not a
heard-
Democrat.
I have not heard one candidate.
Well, they won't
The
say
Democrat.
it, but the policies seem
So,
to be.
you don't say it, but you really, I mean, is that healthy, honorable debate? You say it if you believe it. I don't believe it. You can have
Well,
healthy.
no, I take them at their word, and it seems to me that
But
the
their word
policies
is-
ultimately are.
Why? Why? If you say we should have proper security at the border, but that is going to take, remember, the president has closed a lot of the ports of entry. That is what has created so much of the squeeze here, because he's closed so many of the border entry points. Of course we need border enforcement. Of course we need more judges. Of course we need more agents. Of course. Seeking asylum.
She just lost a bunch of
It's a
points. That was
statutory
great.
right.
That was great.
This is a basic to the American heart. If we stop being
But what about the people that aren't coming through the proper channels? I'm with you. Seeking asylum, of course, is not, and especially people that are seeking it from truly tyrannical
He's
regimes,
made it
et cetera,
harder
et cetera.
and harder for
Yeah.
people to come through proper channels by closing more of the so-called proper channels. This is a made-up thing. This is what dictators do. This is what authoritarian figures do. He's found a group of powerless people, and he can scapegoat them and make them the enemy, when in fact, the immigrant in the United States does as much for us as we do for the immigrant.
You would want the government to be able to tell me, to tell my
because,
company.
no, because we're in Los Angeles and you can afford $15 an hour theoretically.
Well,
Los
right, but
Angeles.
it's not about what I can theoretically afford or not.
Yes, it is.
All right, one more.
Okay.
Healing crystals.
Where
What's
did
the
this come from?
story?
I have to tell you.
What's the deal? I was going to burn some incense before you
The
got
word-
here. We were going to do a seance. I have a Ouija board over there.
The word orb, everything is orbs. I don't think I ever even kind of knew
You
the
don't have
word
an orb?
before. I think it's something in a photograph. I love geodes. We all ought to think very deeply. There's a
If you don't love geodes, by the way, there's something wrong with you, or you just haven't met a geode. Like, you haven't like really met like a really awesome crystal. But like, yeah, she's probably just in a photo with one. And so there's this whole conspiracy about how she like worships crystals or something.
There's a reason why a certain group of people want me to be seen. We all ought to think very deeply. There's a reason why a certain group of people want me to be seen as wacky. There is a political media industrial complex in this country.
Did you enjoy what you just watched and now crave more Nectar of the Damned? Did you know that if you're watching on YouTube, you're only getting half the surfy experience? We upload all of our content commercial and censorship free to our Patreon. Due to the general demon...
They are awesome, and you should pledge to their Patreon. But we also have to watch this, since we were talking about the meme, the brain in recovery mode meme.
Rubin Report, YouTube. Ideas.
Well, my idea is that we should talk about ideas.
Ideas. This was the best route that this thing could have gone. I have to say that my brain is still in recovery mode from taking in so many high-level important ideas. By the way, Big Tears always looking for something in reality.
Welcome to the people who just came in. I didn't realize there were more people in here. I guess I should have assumed that there would be. We're just testing things right now. See, this is the thumbnail right now. So welcome. But I'm just playing with OBS. I'm getting it all figured out. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can play with here. So here's just me talking. Here's the screen. Here's me and the screen. So like, and then and the chat. Which if you were just watching the video before this one, I was experimenting with making it so that we could see the chat at the same time that we were watching a video. So it's like, and then this was just something that I found on Twitter when trying to find the t-shirt that the Majority Report made of the brain in recovery mode, which was making fun of Dave Rubin's statement that his brain was in recovery mode from all of the big ideas that they've been talking about. And it's like a brain in a hammock on an island between a couple of palm trees. Suck my opinion. Welcome. Phaedrus, welcome. Joshua Pim, welcome. Uncensored Art, welcome. Fuck capitalism, but that's a lit bookcase. Thank you. There will be lit bookcases in any society worth living in. Definitely any post-capitalist society worth living in everybody will be able to have a bookcase with some lights. We can do this, people. We can do this. Let's see. What are some other things here's me with the... So I'm going to play a little Donkey Kong. And we're going to listen to... or watch another thing. Let's watch another thing. Woof. Woof. See. Oh yeah, okay. So it's Herbert Marcuse's birthday. Herbert Marcuse is a philosopher, no longer with us, passed away. I don't know when he passed away, but it's his birthday today. I've got to go to bed still, and then in the morning I'm gonna schedule an event. I'm not sure what time yet, but it will be a live stream for Marcuse's birthday. But I'm going to give a teaser about it really quick. So we're going to watch it just for a little bit, just like the first few minutes of this lecture from my favorite professor. This is my favorite professor right here. So, like, if you don't know who Marcuse is, this is like a good introduction, but we're not going to get into it. We're not going to get really into the theory stuff right now. I'm just giving a preview about what we'll be doing tomorrow for this birthday live stream.
Okay, this is the fourth lecture, and we're going to pick things up a little bit here because we have a philosopher that I came in contact with in college through pamphlets, and so this is someone I really enjoy, and I hope that that you'll get something out of this lecture. I'm going to talk about Herbert Marcuse. Again, like Sartre, we're talking about an intellectual who becomes a pop cultural figure. I mean, this is a very rare thing for a German philosopher to have their picture on the cover of Life magazine, but this happens with Herbert Marcuse in the 60s. The reason it does, and this time I will go into the theory. In the case of Sartre, there's so many periods and stuff to follow out that's difficult. But with Marcuse, there are a series of guiding themes that we can follow that I think will explain why Marcuse was the philosopher of the 1960s. And I also want to explain that it's more than that Marcuse also caught a certain contradiction or crisis that was always in the heart of modernity, if you like that phrase, of modern life, of the world after capitalism, of the world after rationalization, after bureaucratization, after you have bureaucracies and rational decision procedures everywhere. Marcuse catches a certain contradiction here that I think is absolutely vital for us to understand. If we go back to the traditional intellectual's way of looking at it, the familiar phrase for the rise of the modern world is the Enlightenment, right? The Enlightenment. And the Enlightenment wants to free the human mind from superstition and from dogma, from the adherence to prejudice. This is the goal of the Enlightenment, beautifully stated by Kant in his essay, What is Enlightenment? When Kant says, dare to use your own reason, which already, tells you that church fathers and things like that don't listen to them. Dare to use your own reason. Have the audacity to reason for yourself. Well, the Enlightenment's fueled by the rise of capitalism. It's fueled also by the rise and the incredible increase in the power of science and the ability of science to fuel technology, which has been my overall story I've been telling in all these lectures about the self under siege. One of the things we're buried under oceans of technologies and information systems and so on. Well, the crisis that was always in the heart of the Enlightenment, if you go back and look at it, the crisis that was always working on it was something like this. The attempt to demystify the world, the attempt to make the world, as it were, transparent to reason, carried with it a strange dark side, always. And you may notice this when you watch television now. The more we, as it were, cleared the fields of the traditional religious views.
And if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, this is some nerdy shit, just know that someone as cool as Suck My Opinion said that Herbert Marcuse inspired him to identify as a cultural Marxist. Which is hilarious because, like, Peterson's like, cultural Marxists, and people are like, there's a cultural Marxist, like, conspiracy and all of this stuff, and then people will just, like, flat out deny that's not even a thing, that cultural Marxism isn't even a thing, that's a conspiracy. And then there's, like, people like Suck My Opinion and myself who are like, no, we're real. It's a thing. Also, I would probably say Rick Roderick is one of my favorite cultural Marxists.
The more that we became convinced that science And one term for that Marcuse uses is instrumental reason. Reason used as an instrument for changing nature and human beings. The more that the Enlightenment project progressed, it simply turned out not to be the case that we became less afraid in the face of the unknown. No, the unknown appeared more terrifying than ever. And it wasn't the case that we became less dogmatic. As a matter of fact, the sciences have now branched out into so many areas that the only way anyone could believe in any of them is dogmatically, since none of us could study them because we don't have world enough or time. So in the paradoxical way, the Enlightenment builds up a kind of intellect intelligent enough to see through mystification. That's where I talked about Marx and Freud and other figures. We build up an intellect hard enough, as it were, to see through these mystifications. But any intellect that powerful has a tendency to become totalitarian. This is the fundamental problem. And nowhere would that be more evident than in the experience of the Germans, who were great at their technology, the advance in science, and so on. A world as instrumentally rational, the famous...
So what I'm going to do, dear viewer, is take a few clips from this and maybe use them while explaining some of the basic stuff about why Marcuse is important for pretty much, I think, thinking about anything, like related to trying to change the world, or, think through like what it means to be a person like living in capitalism. So I'm really excited to talk about that. I'm about to close this out. I'm going to do a little bit more testing, because this was just a testing stream. That's all this ever was. It just turned into something fun. Oh, wait, no, but I promised Donkey Kong. I did say that I would do that, right? I have to stay true to that. So I'm going to follow through and play one. This is going to be only one run. So this will be intense. What do we want to watch in the background? Let's watch a nature video. Okay. There we go. But we're not going to have that music. All right. All right, so just like experimenting. Can everybody see this? Does this work? Is it in screen? Anne's like, Donkey Kong, yes! Alright. There we go. I gotta remember what buttons are set for this right now in the controls. Hold the phone. Will this work? Haha, I think it will. There we go. This is a much better screen. There we go. Okay. Oops. Ooh. Oh shit. If you're just joining us right now, welcome. I'm just doing a single run, and then it's over with the stream. Can we beat my high score in one run? Find out tonight, right now. Okay. Okay, this level made it look too easy. What is it? Okay, you're gonna make it a little bit more difficult now, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Go up, go up. So you might be noticing that this level is a repeat of the first level. This is technically the third level, but it's a repeat. Oh, fuck. Aww. I don't know if this nature in the background is really doing any good. Oh shit. Oh. This is the hardest one. It gets harder every time. Whoop. Woo. Wow. Alright. Well, I'm happy I got this far. Now I gotta be like Destiny and actually debate people while doing this. There's a super chat? What the fuck? Cool. Woo. Whoa. Oh, dang it. I got distracted. Love this channel. Thanks for the good video. Got a fiction recommendation? Something that was imagined. Ooh. I love that question. So Phaedrus, have you read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance? Phaedrus is a character in that book. That would be my first. That's always my first. It's my favorite, for sure. I've read it lots of times. It's definitely informed my worldview. I read it while reading Being in Time. Oh no! Oh, I had the hammer! I had the hammer even! I had it! I get one more? I get one more. Alright. We'll come back to that super chat in a second. I can't. How can I debate while doing this? That's crazy. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna get this hammer. And I smash them with a hammer. Is it Yzma in Emperor's New Groove? She talks about smashing the beetle with her hammer. Is that Yzma? Is that what it was? Oh no, come on. Okay, good. Oh, shoot. Okay, that was close. That was very close. Oh, Phaedra said we discussed this. Oh my god, did I forget that we discussed that? Oh, now it's faster. This barrel got faster. You gotta skip that first hammer. People always wonder about that. Yep, no, you gotta skip it. Oh no. Oh my god! I can't believe I made that. Whoa. That's the best I've ever done. Wow. Nope. Wanna just beat my old record. We did it! We did it, team! We did it! Beat the old record. Boop! Boop! Wow. It's the super chat power. It helped me beat my old record. I should not have grabbed the hammer. Oh, I hope that I can get somebody with it. Oh, yes. Okay, good. It wasn't a complete waste. The thing is, you don't want to get stuck with a hammer. Oh! Ah, no! You gotta really make a run for that ladder, and sometimes you just get screwed. But, yeah. Alright. Oh, DD. That's not what I wanted to do. But I'm not gonna go back. It's just whatever. Okay. Cool! Well, that was cool. Thank you, everybody. So, if you've joined the recently in the chat, maybe you didn't even know that this was the thumbnail for it, but this is the thumbnail for it on screen. Basically, just testing some stuff, making sure things work. To the 5 concurrent viewers right now, it's been fun hanging out, but I've got to go to bed. And then in the morning, prepare for the Herbert Marcuse stream, that's what I meant. Let me see if I can pull up the thumbnail for that, because I'm excited to share it. No, because it's on the other computer. Yeah, it's not in here. Well, I'll have to show it to you all in the morning. It's a great thumbnail. I'm really excited about it. I'm really having a lot of fun with these birthday streams. I want to do a lot more of them. I love the idea of just being reminded every year to like look back into a book or set of books or thinkers because of something arbitrary like a calendar just forcing me to keep up on it. But like this is going to be Herbert Marcuse's birthday. So I think it already, yeah, it is right now because it's the 19th. So it's his birthday, and then in a couple of days it's going to be Marshall McLuhan's birthday. Marshall McLuhan, who wrote Understanding Media, very famous philosopher of technology or media theorist, and Herbert Marcuse was a philosopher of technology, so a critical theorist of technology and of society. It's fucking exciting stuff, and I've been reading it, and I'm reading it at the same time that I'm reading Slavoj Žižek's most groundbreaking and most read dense actual original theoretical work, Sublime Object of Ideology. Reading that at the same time as Understanding Media and by Marshall McLuhan, and what's the other one I'm reading right now? One Dimensional Man by Herbert Marcuse. So I'm really, really excited for the fact that trying to do these birthday streams has been having me read philosophers that I probably wouldn't have right now, but that are perfect for thinking about the things I'm trying to think about right now, concerning technology and human relations and capitalism, trying to understand society and stuff like that. So, welcome 96 FPS. It's a crazy hour. Why am I awake? I know. Same. I'm wondering the exact same thing. But the reason is because I was doing a test. I wonder how many of you are just laying in bed. You're just well, this is interesting. Okay. What else does the chat say? Why are any of us awake? It says Anne. Anne was tired like 2 hours ago. Phaedrus. Because my capitalist duties ended at 1:30 plus commute. ETO. Zizin. 96 FPS. Also, your latest video was great. Well, not the subject, but the effectiveness. Yeah, not the yeah, not the subject, but the effectiveness. Thank you. I got to experiment with some new things. You know, with layers. I'm having fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm learning After Effects with Anne, which is really exciting. So. Because, I mean, a lot of what I've learned with After Effects so far is stuff that I already know how to do on Premiere. But once I really figure out After Effects, I'll be able to do really, really cool stuff. Like, really cool visual effects. But not quite there yet. Oh, Anne said, not true. I took a 6-hour nap today. Thank you very much. I did not realize that. Okay, wow. Yeah, so Phaedrus, thank you for that super chat. Yeah, that's a new feature that was unlocked. I now have super chat, and for a limited time, I'm sending stickers to people who give super chats, because I paid for stickers, and then I never I never sold them or anything like that. And so it's like I have the envelope, I have the stamps, I have the stickers. So anybody who wants some can just email me an address, and they'll get it. They'll get them. It's Russian for its life. Oh. I would like to hear how to pronounce... I wonder... Okay, let's try to see if we can... Let's see if we can get this. Okay, so let's see. How do we do this? Pronounce. Yeah, there's not one for this specific thing. We should make our own. All right, what else? Message retracted. I always wonder what I miss when that happens. Anyway, I was just saying goodnight, but then Donkey Kong, and then we had a lot of fun. So anyway, it's been great. Everyone, thanks for hanging out. Hope you all have a fantastic evening, and sleep well, or if you're just getting up for your day, that you'll have a good day. Happy Marcuse's birthday. When I wake up, it will still be Marcuse's birthday, because it's just late right now. It's like midnight 38. All right. This has been fun. I hope you all have a fantastic night. Now, the next thing about this test, going back to my test screen, is that I got to figure out how to stop it. How do you stop it? Oh, yeah. And my email is theoryplebe@gmail.com. There y'all go. So, yeah, have a good night. I'm going to play something. What am I going to play? I'm going to play Explosions in the Sky until YouTube demonetizes me. So, enjoy this as background music, if you wanna. So I'm assuming that my voice is now louder and the music is probably just barely in the background. Anyway, so thanks for stopping by, y'all, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. I wish I could finish out this album for you, but I can't because I have to shut this down. But I will share the link in the stream. So you can click on that and resume it from the 22-minute marker if you would like, or just from the beginning again, because this kind of music, like the books I like to read, it gets better each time. Oh, well, no, not yet. We'll do this last song. We just have to do this one last song. So if anyone's And with that, we really are done. Good night, everybody.